Hi, this is Dr. Archibald. I want to do a little bit of a commentary on these notes on posting, commenting, and discussing your posts and photographs. The first thing I want you to consider is to start with the rhetoric, okay, when you write your posts. Say you want to talk about Berger's idea that photographs are weapons in an ideological struggle. That's his point at the end of his essay. So introduce his ideas on photographs first, and then tell us how your photograph fills that bill. Ask yourself, is my photograph something that one group can use to harm another? To find this out, you have to isolate elements in the photograph that seem particularly aggressive or threatening. So you immediately go from the rhetoric, in this case, Berger's idea that photographs display some kind of ideology, to the evidence in the photograph. So, for instance, a photograph that shows a battered woman has the effect of assaulting the eye, so to speak. Most of us don't want to linger over such images. They frighten us or embarrass us or just make us uncomfortable. But that's the point of such photographs, right? Or in Blakeslee and Brooks' idea here, when they say that seeing is believing and believing is seeing, you have this kind of idea of what battered women go through, and you put that onto the photograph. That's your reaction as a viewer, as an audience member to the photograph. And the photographer knows this, knows that you will have this kind of preconception of it, and that's what they work with. So what I'm talking about is the effects on an audience of your messages, of the messages of the photograph. Now, as we will learn, photographs are not continuous narratives that tell a straightforward story. The parts of the image often tell numerous and even contradictory stories, as many of these stories that you can find, the better. And really, this goes to Ramage's idea of thinking about rhetoric in terms of cooking, right? This is on page 30, 31, and 32 of his book. And you should look at this, because what he's saying here is that not any one meal is the same as another meal. And we have to kind of face this idea that um, to communicate what we want to communicate, sometimes it's difficult because of the contradictory images, the contradictory poles of symbolic actions are in any artifact like a photograph. And in order to consider the messages in the photograph, you have to consider yourself as the viewer of it and what you bring to the photograph. You're going to see certain things because of who you are. And this is just plain and simple. I'm going to talk about a particular photograph because of who I am. I'm an English professor. I'm of a certain age. I have certain experiences. All those kinds of things come to the fore when I look at a particular photograph. And for you to be an interpreter or a rhetorical critic of these kinds of photographs, you have to examine your own way of looking at them. Okay? This is what we're kind of aiming for in these posts, is for you to not only use the rhetorical terms and see the photographs through those terms, but you have to do some kind of interrogation of your own proclivities here, your own biases, your own ways of viewing things like that, and bring those in to the mix of how you're looking at a particular photograph and why you're looking at them. This goes to Berger's idea of how it is ideological. You know, it's not only what these photographs do to us in a kind of an ideological way, uh, meaning that they change our opinions, but we view them ideologically because of the opinions and views that we have. So it goes back and forth between those two sorts of things. Okay, well, I'm going to end this little commentary and then do another one on the next part of this post. Okay, all right, bye.